Thursday, July 9th, 2020. If you'd please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and
Justice
for all. Thank you. You see him? Hey, Patty, roll call.
Councilman William G. Faulkner,
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Quincy,
Present.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico,
Right here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.,
Here.
Supervisor Rick Morrissey.
Present. Thank you.
Little Zoom fun.
So our first order of business tonight is public comment. So I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Um,
There are the numbers to call in for public comment. I will ask Patty if she's got any texts.
I currently have nothing.
Okay.
I have nobody well in the waiting room as of now,
Okay.
nobody.
As we've done in the past, we'll keep public comment open. We'll continue with the agenda. And someone just remind me to close it at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Roger.
All right, that brings us to department reports, Patty.
I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, bureau of fire prevention, parks and recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance.
Thank you. Okay, the first item under town board is Town of Somers COVID-19 update. So as you know, we've entered into phase 4 of the reopening of New York. We're here because people have listened and isolated themselves if they had COVID. They quarantined themselves if they have exposed to someone with COVID. They wore masks, continue to wear masks in public. And these are going to be the new normal for a while. New York has done that. We've bent the curve, and our numbers are all trending downwards. In the county, weeks and weeks ago, we used to have, 5, 10 or 15 deaths a night. This week, we had 0 deaths for a couple of nights. So we are making progress, but make no mistake about it, we're not out of the woods. It's out there. People are still contracting COVID virus. So Somers numbers, I'm happy to say, have finally gotten straightened out. As you will recall, back in June 16th, the county puts out a map. It had Somers down with 80 active COVID cases in the town. When I looked into that, I said, this cannot be right. Well, I was well on my way to investigating that anyway, because our numbers were high even before that. So basically what I engaged with the county executive's office, county health department, and the state health department. And bottom line is the labs that were doing the testing for our nursing home were reporting employees as living in Somers. So once we back those numbers out, I'm happy to report it's still a double-digit number, but as of yesterday, we had 13 positive COVID cases, active cases in the town of Somers. 6 of those are outside of the nursing home community. So people are still contracting COVID. There is no clusters. No information about where people live, but there are no clustering. And each one of these cases has now going to get a contact tracer, which means they're gonna contact that person, find out where they've been, who they've been exposed to, and that's yet another way of, curtailing this virus. So, with that, we've had, since the onset of the virus, within the town of Somers, we've had 391 positive COVID cases. Once again, I believe a good portion of those were from our nursing home. But we're making progress, which is a good thing. All right, so was it our last meeting or the meeting before that? We had a great, the meeting before that, very interesting presentation from Nina Orville from Sustainable Westchester. And following up on that, the town enrollment in Westchester Power's community solar program, I'm seeking authorization to move forward with that. And just to give you a little bit of the background, what community solar allows for everyone to participate in the solar program. Up to now, it's been, you had to purchase a solar panel, put it on your roof, and then you would get a credit for the amount of electricity you generated. Well, Westchester Power's community solar program, basically, it's an investment in solar farms in upstate New York. So all of us can, at some point, if we choose, get into the solar program. And the benefits of doing that are you will realize a savings of about 10% on your utility bills. No solar installation on your property and no cost to join or to cancel. Flexibility to use Westchester Power program, which we heard from Nina Orville, or there are other energy suppliers that are out there. It directly supports our transition to renewable energy and Somers' sustainable goals. So what I would like to do is submit our paperwork, sign on to, this would be for the town of Somers proper, our accounts, to move into the community solar program. So they'd like to make a motion to proceed with enrollment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So move. And I
Rick,
do that.
I think, I'm sorry, I think with this, we have to go through Sustainable Westchester's assigned solar provider. I don't think we can, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we can just pick anybody, which is still good because solar power, I think anybody would say is good.
No,
Reduces all sorts of things. But I think to be in this, we have to go with them. They put out, just like with other Energize New York, they put out for a proposal, they get the lowest advantage. And that's the advantage. We're bidding together as a town. And also the town, for anybody who signs up with them, obviously it's voluntary, we get $50 per person, which can be applied towards sustainable projects. That's what they give back to the town as kind of a thank you. Same way we got solar panels on the library during the Energize project.
Right. Well,
Good.
the point I was making, even if people sign up for the the Sustainable Westchester program, at any given time, if they want to go with another provider, they're not tied to that.
Oh yeah, right.
But in this format, Nina's Sustainable Westchester initiative, they're going to essentially, this is the one where they're going to go to a resident and they're going to ask them whether they want to participate in having a deduction from their bill, right? And then getting credit.
That's the community solar outreach campaign.
That's what Nina's doing.
Yeah, but that's the next item on the agenda. The first item
So this is actually participating in the community. Okay.
Yeah. So, and Roland, I sent Roland all the paperwork. He reviewed it.
Yeah.
And once again, we're partners with Lewisboro, North Salem, Bedford, and this, it seems to be a win-win-win. Good for the environment, and a 10% reduction of your utility bills certainly is a good thing. All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Okay, now the community solar outreach campaign is another thing that Nina was talking to us about. This is something that, much like we did for solar panels a number of years ago through the Energy and Environment Committee. So this would be basically outreaching to the community and educating them on the benefits that I just talked about. Once again, they have an option of going with Westchester Power, or there are other companies out there that have, actually the town got a solicitation, and when we reviewed it and compared it to Westchester Power, there was no comparison. So what I'm seeking to do here is to, once again, and I would probably look to our Energy and Environment Committee to have them get involved with Westchester Power and conduct a community solar outreach campaign in the town of Somers. So I'll make a motion to proceed with arranging that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Yeah, basically, this program just says the town is going to help communicate with members of the town to give them the opportunity to join in. So people like myself and maybe some of the other people here, when there were solar programs earlier, I looked to get that on my house, but I have too much shade, not enough sun. So it's like, they rejected it. They said, well, you won't get the subsidies because it doesn't save enough energy. So only about 20% of the houses, if I remember correctly, really had enough to make it enough sun to make it worthwhile. But here, you're buying a piece of the production of energy produced by some solar farms upstate, and in return for that energy which they put into the system, you get a credit on your bill. So there's really nothing to lose. You save money, and it's good for the environment. And if you sign up through it, the town gets a little bit of money for each person. So it's a well thought out program, and all their other programs have worked out well. So all we're doing is helping to promote it, I guess.
Right. So our next step would be I'll generate a letter from my office that goes out to residents that basically goes over what Rich just said. And, we'll probably do a code red or put it up on the website. And then, whatever other community work that Nina wants to do with the Energy Environment Committee, we'll certainly follow up on that as well. Okay, well, that's good. I have one add-on tonight, and that's the SAM grant. And once again, this is a grant that was made available through Senator Harkin's office. It's a $50,000 grant, and we wanted to have monies applied to finishing off the Reynolds house. The Reynolds house has been basically totally renovated. The walls are still open, and we're at the HVAC stage, and we're getting estimates around $50,000 to have that done. So we're getting ready to, we've got our proposals, but application in. In order to get the application in, we need town board approval. And I can't imagine you're not going to approve a $50,000 grant. So I'll make any questions on,
No,
you know,
No,
these are the same pots of money that put a solar panel on the highway garage. These grants take a real long time, like 2 years to come to fruition. But Saret has been moving on this one, and hopefully, within the next 6 months, we'll get that HVAC system up and operating down there. All right, so I'll make a motion to,
Anything that moves the Reynolds House forward is good with me.
yeah, me too. I'll tell you, it's looking great though. It really is.
No, it does. I said I'd like to get it finished.
Yep. All right, I'll make a motion to submit the application, the preliminary application for the SAM grant.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Okay, which brings us to personnel, current vacancies on our boards. These are also posted on the town's website. As I've said, maybe 1 or 2 times before, this town is run by volunteers. If it
That's
weren't
number
for,
3. That's number 3. There you go.
we'd be in very poor shape. We are a town of about 100 employees, and we're very physically conservative. And the fact that if we did not have all this extra energy and volunteerism, we'd be in a very different place. So I thank all the volunteers on our boards, and I'm looking for some additional citizens. Come on out. You're new to town, come on out. Go online, find out when these meetings are. Go in, see if you like it. See if you like any of those boards. Everything's open to the public.
Rick, you may want to close public comment now.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the reminder. I'll make a motion to, I'll ask Paul, any public comment?
no, we do not. We don't have
Okay, nothing from you, Patty. So I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And I will mention, and Roland, you can back me up on this, that just the other day, just before it expired, the fact that we could hold public meetings in electronic format as we're doing now is by governor's executive order. Now, that was due to expire just the other day. And at the 11th hour, the governor extended the availability of electronic meetings to August 5th and August 6th. I'm not too sure why the 2 different dates.
August 5th is for public hearings. August 6th is for public meetings.
Thank you.
Why the distinction? I don't know.
Well, with a lot of these executive orders, you have to read them.
Yeah.
You got to read them again, and then you have
So-
to.
So barring any more changes, our next one on August 6th will be in person?
No,
August,
it's through August 6th.
Oh, it's through
Run
August.
including.
through
yeah.
August, right?
Oh, okay. Hey,
And it could conflict. I mean, right now, you can have a gathering of up to 50 people outside socially distanced. I don't know what necessarily the regulations are. I know certain malls can open once they have different levels of filters on their air conditioning systems. and they recirculate outside air more than they were doing previously. So,
Meanwhile, Danbury Mall, wide open, plenty of people, everybody wearing masks. I was there over the weekend. And yeah, and everybody's there shopping. I mean, not all the stores are open, but quite a few are. And
That's Connecticut.
yeah.
yeah, okay, so, well, so actually on the consensus agenda, the last item, not the last item, but what I put in there was to
Combine the meetings.
normally combine our meetings in July and August. So I'm suggesting, it's in the consensus agenda, that we consolidate a work session and regular meeting on the 6th, which would fall under this timeframe to be able to Zoom, because our meeting is on the 6th. And then Tom, after that, yeah, will we be back in the townhouse on September 3rd? We can only hope.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna have to do is figure out the capacity. I mean, right now, any indoor activities for the arts or anything else, it's 25% of the capacity. That's not a big room, to have the public come into a town board meeting. We would have to limit the access.
Well, isn't there a capacity level already? For some reason, 44 comes to mind, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
But,
right.
The
Not
capacity
sure.
of the town meeting room is 97, actually.
97?
The
97.
40, wow,
On the
And
back wall.
but we'd
right?
be included in that 97.
right.
We're packing them in.
It just
Yeah.
came up the other day.
Oh,
They
So
have-
50% of that is 49.
Then
That's
25.
still a lot of people.
We're talking about 25%.
Oh, okay. All right, so then we're talking about 24, 25.
And it includes all of us.
Right.
It's not a lot of people.
No.
No.
And any newspaper reporters,
Yeah.
video
Plenty of
cameramen.
visual guys.
So do we have a town monitor counting people coming in? I mean, not often we have that many people there though, right?
It
Often not.
depends what public hearing
I
we
know,
have.
right?
That's why the press is there. So,
So, Rick, before you continue, I did want to bring up one thing. I'm going to ask Rich to comment on it. We had talked about it earlier. Last week, we did get a public comment regarding the outages. Mrs. Bastone was nice enough to send us a listing. I guess she's been keeping track since, I have it in front of me, since 2013 or before. So I want to thank her for that information. I am going to say that more than a few of the outages are very short in duration. So basically the reclosers that they put on are doing their jobs. And just to explain to the people, and I'll let Rich talk about his conversation, the reclosers are basically circuit breakers that in the old days, if a branch hit a wire, it might just go out altogether. This time a branch hits a wire, the recloser closes, then opens up to see if there's connectivity. Does it, I think, 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. And if the branch falls off, it restarts again. So there's some here that were like 1045 to 1049, 423 to 425. And even back, most of them, quite honestly, are, if you were to take out the 1 to 2 hours, it would limit it dramatically. There are the ones here that were for a week, which we all had to deal with. And there are some that are for multiple hours. But, I just wanted to know that we did receive it, that we were looking into it, and Richard was able to get in touch with somebody at NYSEG. So Richard, you want to give a quick sort of update of your conversation?
Sure. Yeah. Last week, Tom and I said, as members of the Energy Task Force, that we would pursue this, and we did. Today, I spoke with Rob McDonough, who basically handles the hardware for NYSEG. Sam Miller handles the tree trimming. He's the arborist for the area. Those are the 2 fellows that we have the most contact with. And so Rob is the one who handles, if you need new, if they need new parts, if they need a new reclosure, he figures out where it's going to go. And he lives here in town, which I think probably is an advantage for us. So he knows the area well, and he knows the street that we're speaking about very well. A couple of things that he pointed out. One, the Bastogne is at the end of that circuit she's on. What is that, the tea kettle? Is that the tea kettle?
Yeah.
And so they're doing work on that up by Lovell and all the way down toward her house. And because they're doing these upgrades on that, state law, OSHA requires that if they're going to do work on any part of that for the safety of the workers, they shut down the whole circuit for a while, because obviously it's a danger issue. So those were three of the most recent losses of energy on the 18th, the 22nd, the 23rd. Those they call one-shot outages, because they're upgrading the equipment, but they have to stop everything. He then pointed out, as Tom just said, that the closures, which has been a big investment, they are much more expensive than any of us. They're in the tens of thousands, right? Tom, isn't each one?
Right. And they
They
installed
said-
19 of them.
Yeah, right, in town. And that means that if you think of electricity coming down big wires and spreading out into subdivisions, that way, if one part goes out, it closes the route into that part, but not the rest of the parts on that circuit, if that makes any sense. Kind of like, as Tommy Ceverino said one time, it's kind of like those Christmas lights. So one goes out, they all don't go out. And it's sort of like that idea. So those have been a big improvement. So he's pointing out some of the smaller outages have been from that. We also talked about some of the outages from branches coming down, which if it's not in their right of way, they really can't do anything about. Now, we also spoke at an earlier time about ground to sky clearance. We've spoken about that at town board meetings, and we've spoken about that at our energy task force meetings too. And what that means is right now they're limited just to clearing the awning over the wires up to a certain height and also underneath it, but not to the sky, so to speak, as they do, let's say, in Connecticut. Now, some people might take offense to that because there's a lot more clearing. On the other hand, that improves, I think they said, Tom, at one of the meetings, 60% fewer outages, something like that.
It was a big number.
But it's very expensive, obviously. Just on Lovell Street, where they've tried this as a beta program, I think it's $300,000 to $400,000, about $300,000 they spent just on that road. So you can imagine the cost statewide, because anything happens is statewide. So that did not get through the Public Service Commissions. So they don't have that. What they do have, though, as Rob pointed out, is that they have what they call Danger Tree now is part of their program. So if you have a large tree, which we've said many times, the town board, many residents have pointed out, they have a right of way along the street of what they can clear. But if it's on the other side of the street, or it's back on somebody's property, a tree that, whoa, that baby's going to go, and when it goes, it's taking down the whole line. Why don't you people do something about it? Well, the answer is that they don't have the ability. It's not in their program. But now they do. This is called the Danger Tree Program. So when they find that, especially if it's in the town's right of way, it's on the other side of the street from where their poles are, or even if it's on someone's property, I'm guessing, where they get permission to go, there are monies that will be allocated, they believe, to that program. Now, I say they believe because, as Rob pointed out, when I asked him about tree trimming in that area, he says, until we get the new budget in August or September, we can't even go out to plan until we have that budget, because it's a new proposal in front of the Public Service Commission, which means there'll be a new budget with new programs, and they are limited by those budget proposals, just as any of our town highway crews would be for programs that we have. So he couldn't give me more specifics on that. But he did promise, Rob McDonough did promise, to keep an eye on that. He had to run today to another meeting, but he would give Tom and I a call if he comes upon any other anomaly. When I said, well, if you see anything that really looks wacko in this, would you please call us and educate us on that? And he promised that he would.
That's great. So with that said, can't remember what day it was. I think it might have been Monday. A tree came down on Route 22 by the Mercedes dealership, took out all the power lines and the cable lines.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
North Salem, parts of Somers, out of power, yet again. NYSEG had to put up the wires, got them back on probably overnight. So it wasn't a 10-15 minute duration, but it was a reasonable time to figure putting a new pole in, putting the wires up. But what else is carried on those wires?
The
On those
internet companies,
cable.
the cable, and you
So,
can't get a hold of them for anything.
The townhouse internet was out. This affected basically from Amawalk, Primrose, east in the town without internet. So now we have all these people at home, staying at home, doing what they're supposed to be doing, trying to work from home, now without internet service. So I contacted John Dulligan, who is with Altice, and I said, John, what's going on? And he goes, yeah, we have crews on the way. What they do, when they get there, they have to resplice the fiber optics. I think a year and a half ago, I was on the scene of another outage, and basically they have, imagine frayed wires coming out of each end of this. They have to put it back together. Each individual fiber optic fiber has to be reconnected, and it takes an inordinate amount of time. So while we got internet, while we got electricity, we did not get electric internet or cable for probably a good 18, 20 hours. But when you mentioned Rob McDonough, so when these things happen, we're in touch right away. So he told me about the tree over on the Mercedes dealership. Later on in the day, he writes, hey, Rick, you know anything about internet? I don't have internet. Okay, Rob, let me get back to you. So that's when I contacted Altice, and I gave Rob an update then. You're not going to get it anytime soon, but here it is. So it was nice that I was able to give him some information about an internet outage.
Well, we have criticized NYSEG, and I think appropriately, for not well thought out communication with people when there's an outage. Their estimates have been off. They're not outreaching with that. And right or wrong in today's world, people just expect that. They want that. The town has tried to do that with our new website, with our new Code Red, with our ability to be interactive with town departments as people put in applications, etc. So we're trying that.
How you going to check
NYSEG has
the
been trying that
website
with a
if
new
the internet's
website,
out?
new notifications. I just have to say, as I often do, the cable TV industry has got to be the worst. They make NYSEG look good. Their ability to communicate with their customers is terrible. There's just no sense calling them. You'll never talk to a live person. Any estimate they have is going to be off. And in order to you don't have access. Should you get compensated for that? Yes. You must ask for it, though. They don't automatically give it to you. Now, they know what's in and out. I just don't understand that. But the thing is that is an unregulated industry. The NYSEG is regulated by the Public Service Commission. Some would say they should be regulated more closely. Maybe they should, maybe not. I don't know. But cable TV has none. You take someone like Comcast that serves Heritage Hills. They're in 49 states. Anything that happens in Somers, they really don't care anything about. and there's no one watching over them. And I think that this just points out again a weakness in our system. Electricity is more important than cable TV. But as Tom pointed out to me today, it's hard to do your work if you don't have the internet. And so it becomes increasingly important. So this isn't just a luxury service like one might argue TV is. Oh, I can't watch the Yankees at night, you know. But you can't use the internet. Now that affects everybody in today's world. And I think really the state and the federal government should do something about it, because we really can't. We have no ability to do that on the town level.
I disagree, Rich.
We did.
I disagree, Rich. I think there is something we can do, and you guys are reiterating what I've been talking about for several months, if not a year by now. And what I would like to do is take the best practice from Rick when he held NYSEG's feet to the fire. And I am willing to spearhead something like that, because I got a million texts from people in town to all of your points, Rick. People need the internet now more than ever because everybody's working from home. And the kids are home, and if they don't have internet, then they're going stir crazy enough as it is. It's more important than it used to be. So like Rick did, I would like to take his roadmap and just hold the feet to the fire of Xfinity or Comcast or Fios and Optimum or Altice, whatever name they want to operate under. And to borrow a page from my previous life in the corporate world, meet them into submission. Have them come to meeting after meeting after meeting, and they will get better. NYSEG got better. It's still not perfect. We blew out power last Saturday in West Somers Park. It came back relatively quickly. Internet went down the other day. We were out for 2-3 days. And so I'm asking for board approval to go forth and explore that with the goal and objective to solving the unreasonable amount of downages. Because to Rich's point, if you want to get credit for the money that you paid for that day's worth of service, but you didn't get any service, you got to stay on hold for 18 hours to get $17.50 back. No. I want a bill of rights that all of the companies who are cable companies and internet providers in Somers to provide a bill of rights to their customers. And when they go out, the customer does not have to request for a credit, for one. And for two, I want to see measurements of uptime. And I want to see that uptime getting closer and closer to 100%. Can I get your approval to proceed?
Roland, is that a tariff service?
It actually is controlled by the Public Service Commission.
But is there a tariff? Is there a written tariff?
But they get a license to do business in Somers from us.
No,
they do. That franchise agreement is drafted and approved subject to the approval of the Public Service Commission. It's filed with them, and you have to build a record and file a complaint with the PSC if in fact you want to rescind the franchise and then put it out to bid to others. But the investment to put it out to bid is so great for others that nobody else is going to bid, because no one else is going to build the infrastructure.
And that's the problem we've had in the last, 12 years I've been on it, is that they've come to our meetings. We've talked to them. It's been some heated meetings, but you really don't have a lot of leeway because they have the infrastructure built, and somebody else coming in is not going to, much like the Fios TV with Verizon. That's what I was going to get to just very briefly, because Rick, you mentioned it in social media. Anytime this happens, people come to us and they say, hey, I want to get Fios. And they called me up and said, I can only get computer and phone. I can't get internet, or rather, I can't get TV. And they say, oh, well, the town won't let us in. We've said this. Rich, if we had $1 every time you and I said this to people, we'd be millionaires. That is as far from the truth as you can get. We would love for everybody to come here and there to be more competition. The problem is that what Roland just said is the investment is so high that it doesn't make sense for them to do it. That's why Verizon hasn't been doing it. They don't want to.
But my point is that if there's a tariff, there's a regulatory or a legal basis that will describe what their, what their service is and what their service levels are if they have them in the tariff.
But what happens here?
And secondly, go ahead.
I was going to say what happens, and maybe Roland can answer this. Let's say we get all over them. I mean, and they say, okay, we're not going to provide service anymore.
Well, it's a bully
There's a gap
pulpit
in the
thing.
market, somebody will fill that gap.
No, they won't.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
Money.
They got to lay the
But
cake.
they won't. But they won't not provide
I know
service.
they won't. Well, I know they won't. That's been our problem, is that we say we're going to go after them, and there's really no recourse. And it's a true monopoly because nobody else is going to pay the money to put their service in. If they were going to do it, they would have done it already.
Well, let me just say two things. One, in Heritage Hills, these franchise agreements are like 10-year agreements. That one's coming up for renewal. We're in there trying to do exactly what you're talking about. Renegotiate some service level requirements into it. But they're legal structures that have limits, okay? And I don't know that these, and Roland, you could speak to this, but the franchise agreements don't, they're to provide a purpose for us to get compensated for
Right.
them using our right of way. It's not about a service level agreement, and they don't have any basis to do that. That's why I say go back to the tariff and see what they're legally
Yeah,
and regulatory supposed to be doing. And if they're not doing that, then you have a legal basis to push
Yeah.
on. And then there's the bully pulpit. I mean, to the extent that you can. I mean, that's
Is
it.
there a tariff, Roland?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if
It's regulated.
it's not a controlled rate, if that's what you're pointing towards.
No, but the service may be tariffed. I mean, it's a type 2 service, right? It's not a utility service.
Here's the thing, though.
But there may be a
that I
tariff.
think what's regulated is the telephone and the internet, but the cable television part of it is not under the 1997 Telecommunications Act by Congress, which said that there is competition because there's always satellite. And that's the competition. That's why it's this competition, the marketplace will rule. But it doesn't, in fact, do that. Someone like myself, I don't have satellite. I can't get it. Tom does. It works perfect. So there's not really competition. But so if you want to get into what they should do, in my opinion, it should be modeled after electricity. The NYSEG controls the wires because you're not going to have a new company come in and rewire, but who you can compete with the ability to send electricity through those wires. And so you're competing with the supplier, an energy service company, and ESCO. Now that's what they should do, in my opinion, with all this, which has become an essential industry: electricity, maybe telephone, but certainly internet. The hardware stays there. They got to figure out who's going to pay it, who's going to uptake, but then the service that comes through, then that becomes much more competitive than it is. And I think that it would be a better system. And that's why I say we can't do that. Just need a little more creativity. But
I'm
given
sorry,
the Congress
Rich,
has a lot more important things that they're not doing, I don't think they're going to worry about
I
this.
reject the premise that there's nothing we can do. And let me just pan you over to my television for a quick second. As you can see there, what it says is, there is an issue at this time. Please try again later. That happens all the time. And I have to say this too. Since Altice took over, a French company took over for Optimum, it's gotten a lot worse.
Great. Great.
No, it's not great.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, and Rich said it. I've had satellite for 20 something years now, and even when we lose power, I still have TV.
What do you do for internet?
Generator. I have never ever lost TV.
What are you doing for internet, Tom?
I use FiOS.
You got
Verizon.
Fios.
I never have an issue with it.
Mhm.
I'm one of the ones. That's what
And
gets
you're
me-
around the block from me. You're around the
Well,
block from me.
Yeah, that's right. What makes me laugh is I'm the one who wanted to get the triple play, And I went to a guy at a kiosk years ago and he said, oh, the town won't let you in there. And I said, well, I'm on the town board and it's, you're wrong. So go back to your boss and tell them to get another story. But I've had I've had internet and telephone on Verizon for however long, and I've had DirecTV for 20 some years. I never have any issues ever.
So
Right.
just so the rest of the town understands this, you live
That's
on the border.
DirecTV.
You live on the border of the town, right? With me.
Yeah.
You have FiOS. The rest of the town, the infrastructure doesn't come into the town.
No, they can get, the way I understand, they can get internet and phone. They just can't get
Can't
TV.
get,
They can get the other two. We just can't get the triple play.
right.
I can't get it either.
I
All
can't-
right, but
All
to Bill's
Go ahead.
point, about, Comcast and, Altice, the service. Well, there is an alternative and it's DirecTV, right? DirecTV does not have to come in and purchase, the cabling from Altice or from Comcast. So, there is a choice. It's not one that a lot of people want to take. And Bill, Tony and I have been meeting with Heritage Hills on the franchise. I think it's up in October,
Right,
Tony.
yes.
So you're more than welcome to sit down with Don Rubino and his Comcast franchise committee, because they've come up with a number of things they are trying to hold Comcast feet to the fire, and the town will either accept the franchise agreement or reject it. So this is every 5 to 10 years, we have this opportunity.
Gladly. Please invite me. Send me his contact information.
All right. That we can do. But, it's, we as the tiny town of Somers, are not going to have an impact on these cable companies.
But I think we can. I think Bill's right. We can speak to the frustrations of so many people because it's not a person in town who has these so-called service companies that provide no service. That doesn't feel the same way, and so at least we can be the megaphone for them, and maybe that will get something done. We heard that the last time Comcast came in, we had what was like 3 or 4 months. I think Rick, you were on the board, Tom was on the board.
Yeah.
They kept coming back and we would pack the place.
Oh, yeah.
Pack the place with people complaining about it. And, they would give us nice words and hand out phone numbers and cards.
Hey,
And I'd be interested in your conversations with Don Rubino and others up there, whether Comcast has fulfilled their promises.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's look, I get calls all the time regarding cable and why aren't we look, the town of Somers welcomes competition. Maybe we should invite DirecTV to come in and do a presentation. It's an alternative to these other cable services.
That's not a bad idea. I mean,
This would be their big, see, they don't carry any local, the planning board or the town board, and everybody wants those services. So
I was
that's
gonna say
why
that-
they don't go
I was
to.
going to say that was another positive of the DirecTV that I have. Don't carry the. I haven't watched a town board meeting on TV in 16 years.
Our ratings are plummeting. We have to get it up. We have to get them up.
And that's the only issue is you don't get the local.
It is.
channel. I know people who have DirecTV, and what they do is they get just one TV in the house, and they get the minimum package with cable, so they can get more for the schools than anything else.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's a very frustrating situation, to be sure.
all right, back to the-
We're at our consensus agenda. Once again, I pointed out that going to consolidate our meetings if we're all in consensus about that. And also I want to point out that at our last meeting, we authorized the appointment of Anthony Sutton to the Architectural Review Board to a 3-year term ending March 31st, 2023. So I'm gonna make a motion
Actually,
to,
Rick, just
Yep.
let's thank Don Belmont one more time for his
oh my
retirement.
gosh, yeah,
He did a great job with the seniors and he was 21 years here. They're going to miss him. We mentioned it at the last meeting, but you know, when you lose somebody, when somebody retires after 21 years, it should be mentioned a couple of times. So, you know, we do.
by all
Yeah.
means. He has endeared himself to our senior community like you can't believe. I mean, every year they invite me to their Christmas luncheon, and talk about someone who can work a room. He's at every table. He's talking to every senior. He's all over the place. And you know, some people are irreplaceable, and he's one of them.
I mean, wish him luck.
So, okay, any other comments or issues with the rest of the consensus agenda? Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the consensus agenda, items 1 through 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Okay, so our next meeting then will be August 6th. It'll be a combined work session and regular meeting. It'll be Zoomed and possibly our last Zoom meeting, which
Oh,
I find these Zoom meetings to be very effective to conduct business because it moves very quickly, but I find it non-communicative with the public. You know, they have to go to this extra effort to make a phone call or to sign on to Zoom, or when they can just come to a town board meeting. So
I like him because I can wear shorts.
yeah, just make sure when you stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, you have those on.
I go right to the side. Don't worry. I go right to the side.
All right, good. So, and I do want to make another mention. If you haven't had an opportunity, and Paul, maybe you could help us with how we can watch the Independence Day program that Paul put together. You know, we've got Bill Winnicky as General Washington. He gives a beautiful presentation. Grace Zimmerman's on there. But I'll tell you, one of the highlights of that presentation is Marty playing the national anthem on his harmonica. It is so moving and haunting. It's incredible. It really is. So, Paul, maybe you could send around a link. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I just texted on the screen to everybody, but I'll email it as well.
Yeah, I saw it pop up.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Is that on the town YouTube website, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You look under chat, it's right there.
Yeah. You know, when I saw him after that, I went over to him and said, I have not been so moved by the national anthem since 1969, when I was standing in a muddy field listening to Jimi Hendrix play the national anthem. So, you know, I think he was impressed. But listen to it and tell me if I'm wrong.
You
Okay,
could strike me as a flower child.
He was probably in that field with you.
could be. Could be.
There it is.
There it is.
There we go.
All right, move it up to the harmonica.
Yeah.
There's Doris.
There it is.
Get some sound.
Huzzah, huzzah.
Wow.
Well,
That was
worth
great.
it. That was great. Paul,
Great.
the production value,
Thanks, guys.
Academy Award for editing.
And he still had his shirt from Woodstock. Who knew, you know?
Okay, so let's continue with the entertainment. And tonight, with our announcements, our famous town clerk, Patricia Calba. So do you have announcements for us tonight, Patty?
I do have a couple. I'm sorry I didn't do a wardrobe change or anything for this announcement, but you know, it was 4th of July. We had to celebrate a little bit. So let's start. Northern Westchester Hospital is having their COVID antibody testing for all community members. It's at the health center in Chapel Crossing next to Whole Food. Antibodies testing will be offered Monday through Friday between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. through July 31st. Pre-registration is required. 24-hour advance notice is required. 2020 census. Our totals have not gone up as much as I had hoped. So we're still at 69%, which is a 0.5% from where we were last week. But let's get those going. Our 2010 responses were 73.7%, so let's try to beat that. If you have received your code in the mail, please go online, My 2020 Census, and respond. If you have not received a code, you still can respond by calling the Census Bureau at 844-330-2020 or go online to My 2020 Census and click on where it says, I do not have a code. Camp Morty Virtual Camp 2020.
Pat, just before you move on with that, just let's point out that in Bailey Park, there is now a sign with a thermometer on it telling us where we are with the census. So we're trying to get 100%, and you'll see every week we'll update that thermometer.
And everyone in Somer should be counted, so we want to get up to 100%.
Here.
So Camp Morty's holding their virtual Camp 2020. It's a free camp for home opportunities for children between the ages of 8 and 15, receiving services from Westchester County Department of Social Services. For information, call 914-231-4080 or email info@campmorty.com. All this information is going to be on our town website. Please remember, we are Somer strong. Good work. Keep wearing your mask and social distance.
Very good.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any closing comments, issues, concerns anyone wants to bring up?
I mean, do we have what are our thoughts about when the townhouse will be able to see citizens or customers or what's the thoughts there?
So I didn't address that in my public services announcement at this time, but again, we are open 100% to staff. We will meet anybody who needs in the parking lot. They can call any office and their needs will always be met.
Awesome.
And that has been that since March.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah, we've been handling the public. We never close, let's just put it that way. There's always been staff in the building. We are now 100% back with employees because we've made the environment as safe for them to return.
So if somebody needs something, they can call, make an appointment, and there'd be some sort of a meeting outside or whatever.
And to be in all honesty, appointments are not even needed. They call us from the parking lot. Somebody goes out and assists them.
Awesome.
I'm asking for any of my notaries to be appointments, just to make sure I'm there and available to them when they need me. But other than that, we have staff.
All right, and one of the obligations we have as a municipality, as we did reopen for employees, every employee has to complete a health survey every day they come to work. So it starts with taking their own temperature at home, and they can go online when they come into work or at home and fill out this 5-6 questionnaire about their health. And, so far it's been working well. Each department, each building has its own scan thermometer. So if you come into work, you forgot to take a temperature, in your own building, you can go and find out where the scan thermometer is and take your temperature. Because if your temperature is over 100.4, you're going to be asked to go home. Out of abundance of caution.
Okay.
So, Somers, I want to thank you for your patience tonight. These meetings, once again, from a business perspective, very effective. For communication with the community, maybe not so much. I just hope that there are a number of people out there that are watching this on YouTube, Zoom, channel 20. And I'm going to wish you a happy, safe summer. And once again, we are Somers Strong. So stay safe and be well. Good night, Somers.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Right.
everybody.